Thank you. David's really smart. He knows what he's doing. Probably the biggest expense on your financial statement is your people, and then your second biggest expense is your advertising. So we're going to talk about both of those today, and you just heard a great presentation, and hopefully I can follow that lead here. So for those of you that know this test, we're just going to wake everybody up a little bit. If you do know the answer to this, go ahead and refrain from telling your neighbor, but we're going to do a little brain activity real quick before we get going.
This is a test of selective attention. Count how many times the players wearing white pass the basketball. How many passes did you count?
What do we got? 15, 16, somewhere in there? Anybody see the gorilla? All right.
The correct answer is 15 passes. But did you see the gorilla? This video is from research by Daniel Simons and Chris.
So that's a good one to wake everybody up, and kind of, it's a nice lead in for marketing because we can choose what we want the customer to see and not see. And I thought that it would be a good kind of attention gainer here. Here's my second attention gainer, what kind of talks about our industry, right? So I didn't go back to 1960, but I went back to 1990 here, and this is new and used vehicle sales. So we've always talked, oh yeah, it's been 16 million units, new car wise, since the beginning of time, and then we had the big dip in the recession over here, and then we've been climbing out, and we've been climbing out at this furious pace, right? And so it all started with the government stepping in and doing cash for clunkers, and that built some great momentum, and then the manufacturers took notice and they increased US production. And so we've really been riding this wave for the last couple of years. 17.4 million last year, right? And 17.6 projected this year. That's pretty amazing. We kind of did the old direct mail thing where the mailer worked, and then so we did it again next month, right? And so we've pulled so many people into the market. Does anybody know what all the manufacturers are doing across the board? They're basically cutting US production, right? So all of the inventory is getting diverted, and there will be allocation, and I'm sure you guys know what you're getting next year, and you'll be able to forecast off of that, but it's not what you have been getting, right? So there's going to be a contraction in our industry, so I think it's very important for us to understand what that means to your business. And there's two major economies that are basically getting the lion's share of the inventory. One is Brazil, they're in a double-digit recession. The other one's Russia, they're in a double-digit recession. So the manufacturers are hedging a bet on diverting inventory over there, which means less for us. So that means everyone's going to be scrapping for a smaller pie, right? So we want the largest piece of that pie that we can get. So that's what I'm going to hopefully help you achieve, is how are we going to create the best marketing mix to make sure that you get your unshare share of the pie. So I'm going to go through just some basic stuff. There's been a couple of companies I heard yesterday already talking a little bit about how to optimize your website and what have you. So I'm going to breeze through that and really get to the nuts and bolts of this, which is your budget and your advertising and how you're going to plan out next year, and then maybe just offering up a little inspection at the end here. So this is Seth Godin. I don't know if you guys know him. You know, he bought and sold a lot of companies, and is pretty he's got a good blog. He's kind of outside of our industry, but he actually touches on automotive every now and then, and so he's a good guy to follow. But marketing is a contest, right? Especially on the tier 3 level. I mean, it's tooth and nail. It's it's not a knife fight; it's a gunfight, right? So we got to get our ducks in a row. The website, again, I think there was some good presentations yesterday or what have you that talked about some of this stuff. So I'm gonna kind of hit on it here a little bit. You need to definitely be focusing on your content, and then we always get into the discussion of, well, we want our original custom content. Well, if you're talking about inventory content, 60% of that content is duplicatable, right? The miles per gallon are same for you and your competitor. The wheelbase is the same, all that stuff. So you got 40% on those pages. But what pages do you actually have control of? Do you have a beautiful About Us page? Do you have a video from the desk of the owner or the general manager explaining what your culture and value system are? Do you have original things that you can talk about? We go into dealerships and we talk about USPs or what have you, but we find out things like we donated $10,000 to the local football team, and that's not even on our website, but we have this beautiful plaque on the wall in the dealership. So think about the things that are 100% customizable, and then also get into some of that stuff that's duplicatable. I mean, there's only so many ways that we can position a battery or a tire alignment and what have you, but we need to make sure that we do that as well. So advertising, right, is paid media. Well, we want to get our unfair share of the free stuff, right? So let's make sure that when we build out our pages and we optimize our website, that we're not just getting a website in a box from the website company and taking their word for it that that's exactly what I need. You should have a good SEO tool to make sure everybody's held accountable, and then make sure that you have your pages set up right. And so mobile first. And that's probably the theme I think you're probably going to hear in a lot of presentations around here. There was just a big conference in San Francisco. Google put out some fresh new statistics. I mean, if your pages aren't loading in 3 seconds, it's the equivalent of that mail piece, right? You pick up that mail piece out of the mailbox and you got 3 seconds. Either I'm throwing it in the trash or I'm opening it up, right? So that would be a good thing for you to probably put into your playbook. We used to say before you check your email in the morning, check your website. But that would mean that you would need to be at your desk and look at the desktop version of that site. You don't even have to do that anymore. So I would say that when you do wake up in your morning and you get into your routine, check your website. Check your main profit centers. Your homepage, your inventory, new and used, specials, sales, service, everything. And make sure that those main pages are loading quickly, because those are buy or die moments. Those are those crucial high value micro moments that we need to make sure that our site is light and we can go ahead and let that customer continue to go down the funnel. Just a tidbit here. We've often had to pinch in and adapt for a non-mobile site. I think we all have responsive sites nowadays. If you don't, then it's probably time to get with that program. But that speaks to buttons and fingers. So we're finding success somewhere between 45 and 57 pixels. That's the non-fat finger. Like, I clicked on the thing that I wanted to click on. So when you're looking at things, and do you guys all know how to do that? Most of us are on Macs, right? I think I can do it here, where you kind of do a little Command, Shift, and then 4, and then you can kind of see the size. See what I'm doing right there? Kind of adjusting around. So you could do this if you have a Mac. It's Command, Shift, 4, and you could actually see the size of your buttons. Take a little picture of them. So. And then your VDPs and what have you. Let's all, go back to the basics. I mean, I see this time and time again. We have a dealership and they're doing well, and then all of a sudden, the photos fall off, or the descriptions fall off, or the pricing feed broke, or what have you. It's one of these things that has to be part of your daily routine, because maybe the lot guy quit, or the photo company didn't show up, or we have a new used car manager and he put the pricing in the wrong field. I mean, these are literally going to make you have a 10, 15 car Wednesday or not, right? So if you have all these things happening, you'll have these anomaly things where, it was a full moon last night, everybody was up searching online, and then we just sold 10 cars today. So, but if you're not checking this stuff, then they're gonna move on to the next person. Again, conversion buttons. We're seeing good activity with putting headers on top of all the inventory pages. So a nice way to merchandise your special some more. This is just in-site advertising, we call it, right? Not anything new. Coincidentally, who here has specifically followed the campaigns, and they're over now, but did anybody follow the campaigns, both sides, just to kind of see what the marketing tactics were? No? Some good brands to follow would be sign up for Amex if you're not. They're a gold standard. Sign up for a Coca-Cola. Sign up for some kind of QSR, maybe Chick-fil-A. They do a really good job with their marketing. And then what is the one major purchase that we make that's greater than automotive, right? It's our house, right? So if you look at some of the things that are happening in the realtor industry, I mean, they have kind of taken things where automotive is headed, and they're already there, okay? So building out these sections of the website by realtor, showcasing inventory by realtor. I mean, these are all of great things that you can think about and say, how can I convert this? Does this make sense? Would this give me a competitive advantage? Because the realtor industry is already there. They're selling, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of homes. Okay, we're selling, things that cost, roughly under $50,000, right? So take something out of that playbook. So it's really good for you to kind of look up and look down when you're kind of looking at some brands to follow. All right, we made it through all that stuff. So let's really get into your budget and your advertising. How many radio stations are playing right now? All of them, right? We're just not tuned into the right frequency, right? We've all heard that before. But every single radio station in Lexington is playing right now. And we just need to be tuned into the right station to hear that message. So what does that mean? That means that satellite radio didn't kill radio stations, right? And people are still listening to the radio. And certain demographics are still watching the morning and evening news, right? And some dealers are very happy to go 100% digital. But what does that do to your budget? It turns anything that's variable into an evergreen. So where you would have a certain percentage of your budget that you could dedicate to a radio buy or a TV buy or a direct mail piece or what have you, it's now like, oh, I got 20 companies at $1,500 a month, and that's my marketing program, right? It's kind of scary in a sense. So I would encourage you to really look at that and understand what your mix is from a percentage basis, and we're going to give you some benchmarks here, but really kind of look at that, and you know what, if the factory comes out with a program, do I have money to push that program, aside from digital, right? Because we know we want to put more, or do we have money, extra monies to put towards an extra digital campaign? So I kind of let in with that just to say that, there is a spot for traditional advertising, and I hate this whole digital and traditional thing now. I think I'm kind of over it. I think it's just marketing and advertising at the end of the day, because it all melds together, right? So I would encourage you to take a look at, what's in the market, or utilize your agency to do the research to find out, how much does it cost me to get a 70% reach in my market? It's nice to have a great website. It's nice to have this amazing digital presence, but it's like direct mail. It's under the radar, right? So how am I getting my share of voice in the market? How am I getting my brand out there? How am I building things? If in fact the experts are correct and we are headed towards a slight recession in our industry, what's the best thing to do? The best thing to do is actually increase your share of voice in your market. Spend some extra money on broadcast. And when that market turns, you're going to reap those rewards. So if you have a war chest, then, and what is supposed to happen happens, then, it might be a good strategy to do that. So, the whole traditional advertising spend has not died. It's still a fair amount of the marketing budget. Procter & Gamble tried. Procter & Gamble is one of the biggest, kind of conglomerate of brands out there. They tried to go 100% digital. They can't. And if anybody is, the litmus test for that, it's them. So it's definitely still here. Who here has unplugged from their cable or satellite provider? Anybody? Yeah. So I unplugged like a year ago, and then the cable company kept calling me, and finally they called me about a week and a half ago, and they're like, hey, we have this streaming service. It's $19.99 a month. That's the price. You already have your internet with us, plus we're going to send you a Roku 3. And I'm like, done. All right, I got it. I love it. I'm getting commercials. The cable companies have figured this out, right? The satellite companies have figured this out. Pandora, is going localized with some of their services. I mean, everything is kind of melding together, right? Some of these ones that are kind of like broad and national are going local, and some of the local ones, you can now go bigger. So really interesting to see how all this is coming together. Now, we always talk about these millennials, and gosh, if I could figure them out, that would be great. But I know that we all struggle with this, especially in the industry that we're in, and how some of us Gen Xers and Cold War era people have, really had a whole different experience, right? I mean, it's so different to grow up and just get the job done and not worry about things and worry about work-life balance. I mean, we're probably to a fault on that a little bit. But the millennials don't particularly trust traditional advertising. So what does that mean to you? Well, if a millennial is up to, 32 years old right now, so how many 18 to 32-year-olds are you selling a car to? So how much of an impact is that actually making on your business? That would be a good question to ask yourself, because that would help you dictate your advertising budget. So traditional advertising is kind of here to stay. It's all melding together. Right now, we tend to lean towards that and do a 60% mix, 40% digital, and then we'll adjust up or down. And so, you need to understand what this means to your business. Hopefully by now you have forecasted, so you know what you're kind of getting from the manufacturer, and you've forecasted new and used, and the next piece of that puzzle is to assign a dollar amount, right? So how much am I going to commit in 2017 per unit? Is it $300 a car? Is it $350? Is it $400? Am I in an expensive market? Is it $500 a car? And then you can back into an advertising budget that makes sense, right? So then you can multiply that. I'm going $300 a car, and I'm a 100-car store, and that's $30,000, and that's what I'm going to spend in January. Not a penny more, not a penny less. I'm committed to this. And then you can divvy it up from digital and traditional from there. So these are if you've ever gone to these Lumascapes, there's a website that has all these. You can probably just Google Lumascape. There's several of them. So most of us in the automotive space, we deal with search, right? We talk about search, we talk about social, we talk about display. We really don't get into, these mobile-specific ones or these marketing ones, right? So these kind of delve into areas that are foreign to us in the automotive space, right? So who here is doing RTB, right? I would expect nobody, right? Now, if you look at some of the best and brightest brands, or if you just look up to the tier 2 level, okay, and look at some of your local brands, who's from the Southeast? Publix, supermarkets, that would be one, right? Or whatever the furniture store conglomerate is or whatever. So real-time bidding, would really get you into a whole different level of advertising that we're not even scratching the surface on, okay? So in-app advertising. So I bet you we all have, no less than 10 free apps on our phones right now, right? So what are the things that you do? You kind of give up everything, right? I give up all my photos. I give up all my contacts. Well, what are those companies doing with all that, right? You're also giving them a segue to advertise to you in those apps, right? This is a huge piece that is not being utilized on the tier 3 level. So I would encourage everybody to look into in-app or RTB or whatever you want to call it. These are the ad exchanges that are not, this is like Google has their content network, and that's great, and then you got your social advertising and what have you, but this is everything else. These are the Wall Street journals that have said, no thanks, Google, I don't want to be in your content network, I'm going to sell my own inventory, right? So I would challenge you to look into this and challenge your agency or whoever's doing your digital marketing, to look into this, because, in this space, most of the time, all I see is search, social, and display. So I don't see any, mobile specific, any real-time bidding stuff. And if you really need to take a look at these in depth, then you can go to, that Lumascape website and really find all this information. And it is overwhelming. I mean, it's not, this is not like a joke here. This is really what it all boils down to. SEM and pay-per-click advertising, I mean, this is, there's some good things happening. And if you haven't already started to do this with whoever's doing your SEM or your PPC, you should probably get on the phone with them and make this part of your December strategy. Google has yet to release a mobile-specific platform only where you can just do mobile ads. So what we've been doing for the past year is tricking the system. So you actually lower your desktop bids and then increase your mobile bids. So we're not spending that $2 to $3 a click on those ads that would show up on a desktop, and we're saving that money and then dumping it into a mobile campaign where we can get a click for 40 or 50 cents, right? So we're getting more bang for our buck with the audience that is looking on a mobile phone, which is over to 60 to 70%. So this is the way you want to do it, and I think the rollout is going to be in the first quarter with Google, and that'll kind of start to shift things. Google's realized that some of the best advertisers out there have done this trickery, which it's great. It's white hat, it's above the board, and we're getting 40-cent clicks, right? So now they're going to shift it and say, hey, we want to increase that. So, but even so, it's probably not going to go to $2, $3 a click. We're going to have a good year of $1 to $2 clicks in this mobile environment, and so I'm real excited about that. See how that pans out. There's some other stuff that you can do nowadays, and a lot of the newest, latest, greatest stuff is not available through one of these tools. So if your SEM provider is with a Kenshu or a Marin or one of these specific tools, a lot of the cutting edge stuff that gets you results for very little cost has to be done natively. Promoted pins is a huge thing right now that you can do directly through your AdWords account. It's getting great results. This is where your pin looks just a little bit better than the guy down the street, and it gets the click, it gets the thumb imprint. So there's a lot of good stuff happening when it comes to that. One of the things about YouTube and Facebook, has anybody ever watched these Facebook videos that have basically like a closed caption? They have subtitles underneath them. Does anybody know why, those are some of the, it's like 3 billion views on that video or whatever, right? It's crazy the amount of views on those videos. And the reason is because people are, they're pulling their phone out, they're checking it at work, and they're just checking their feed, and then all of a sudden they see this video and, oh wait, I don't have to listen to the video, I can see what the video is saying. All right? Be thinking about that for your pre-roll. Okay, we've gotten into, in our space, this comfort zone of, oh, I'm already producing this 30-second spot or this 15-second spot, and I'm just going to make that my pre-roll video. Wrong answer. Wrong answer. It would be better to have your teenage son or daughter do a video that actually has these closed captions, and it would probably drive better results than doing that with your TV spot. It needs to be an internet-specific spot, right? And so when we see that, the engagement just goes through the roof. It really does. And it takes a little bit extra effort, but if anything was easy, then everybody'd be doing it, right? I mean, all throughout this digital revolution. I remember 10 years ago, before vAuto, we were typing out descriptions before description generators and then converting them into Spanish. And we would get an AutoTrader account to quadruple in results. It was just amazing just by writing a custom description. Well, then what happened? Well, people came out with automatic description writers, and then that playing field changed, right? So what do? We moved to photos, and people were taking bad photos, and so we created it. We wanted to max out on 24 photos, which was what you could do at the time, and then we went to new car photos. No one's taking new car photos. Let's take new car photos. And then remember this, all of a sudden the dealers are like, what? Now you want me to take photos of all my new cars, right? And now the manufacturers are looking at that. Some dealers have gotten smart, and they're like, oh, I'm going to create one set of photos and then use them for every white Camry I get or whatever. And that's actually coming out in compliance now. So be careful with things like that. But what I'm saying with all that is that if it was easy, everyone's going to do it. So look for the hard road. Look for the hard road, look for the high road, and that's going to be your area of opportunity. If you don't have something that's taking time and effort and energy, and you feel like you just have your marketing in place and everything's cruising along, then you're not looking hard enough. You got to look harder, and that's where your areas of opportunity are going to be. Online video is here to stay. Online video and mobile. I mean, it was always a nicety up until this year, I think, to build out the YouTube channel. It was like, hey, Mr. Dealer, do you want to build out your YouTube channel? Great, yeah, let's do these videos. And then they're like, well, how much is it going to cost? And then we're going to do them for this. And then it's like, oh, I don't have money for that. This is not an option anymore. I mean, if you guys are not doing YouTube on a typical monthly schedule, then you're behind the power curve at this point. So we have the adoption curve, right? We have early adopters, then we have early majority, then late majority, then laggards, right? We're kind of late majority or laggard if we don't have a monthly YouTube strategy at this point. So make sure that's in your playbook. Facebook is, you can't buy a like or promote a post anymore on Facebook, right? Does everybody know that? That's just not in the cards anymore. They've put their foot down. That's not what they're about. They want to be a true advertising partner. And so what's happened is again, if you're doing the work, if you're doing the heavy lifting, we're enjoying 23% clicks, 23-cent clicks, I'm sorry, right now. I mean, it's just amazing. Conversions for under $5. I mean, new car conversions. I mean, the market, not everybody's gone down this road yet. So there's a huge opportunity, and it's working. It's really working. Being able to segment and take that urban science data that I'll get to in a second, that the manufacturer spends all this money on, and very rarely do we utilize it. But now we know the demographics for each particular car. So if a Toyota Corolla, is a woman 25 to 40, right? Then let's hit that. Let's set that campaign up, and then we can update the creative. But then this would be part of your evergreen strategy, and I would do this with at least your top 3 sellers, right? So whatever your top 3 sellers are, make sure that it's a component that you have active social campaigns, specifically Facebook, and then make sure you do the option for Instagram, right? So we're getting good clicks off of Instagram, right? So that's just a component of your Facebook advertising. So this would be if we had a budget of $16,000, $18,000, $20,000. This is kind of how we would break that down, and then this is kind of a starting point, and then we would adjust up and down from there. So obviously we want to cover the search engines. Does anybody know what their Yahoo Bing traffic is? Everybody should have an idea, right? Some markets, Google is down, in the 60s. We've seen it as low as 65%. And then, markets where Microsoft is still pushing Bing. I mean, they may have a radio or a TV buy going in that market. Has anybody bought a computer from Best Buy and the box was open, a laptop? That happens sometimes, right? Yeah, because Microsoft has a deal for them to go in and make sure the browser's set to Bing, right? And not Google, right? So there's things like this that affect your search results, right? It's important to look at that, because when you are looking at how you divvy up your money in your search engines, if 60% of your traffic is Google and 40% Yahoo Bing, well, shouldn't your search budget kind of mirror that? So something to think about. We often fill Google up first, and then we don't have enough money for Yahoo or Bing or what have you, when we should probably be making sure that we cover all the bases. And that's that slide. So display network, social outlets, remarketing, video. This is probably how we look at it as a percentage of digital spend. Remarketing doesn't cost a lot of money. Make sure that you don't have your location settings on for remarketing. If somebody has looked at your website and then they fly to Salt Lake City, they're probably still someone that you want to remarket to, right? We've seen things like that happen where it's been in alignment with whatever the radius or the zip codes or what have you, and that needs to be relaxed for your remarketing. Okay, so we talked a little bit about digital and traditional. It's time to really kind of look at what your strategy is. And so, basically doing that SWOT analysis, I mean, it's tried and true. If you're bored with the SWOT analysis, you can do what's called a Porter's 5 Forces. It's a more comprehensive SWOT analysis, Porter's 5 Forces. And you can look at your market and really just understand where your strategic areas of focus need to be. Where do I really need to be focusing in 2017 and forward? And then overlaying that with your urban science data. Some of the most powerful meetings that I've had in the automotive space have been with myself, and then the district manager, and then the dealer, and then whatever operator is there at the organization. And so what that does is it gets all the heads pointed in the right direction, and we can come away with this big long to-do list of things to do as the agency, and then regroup 3 months from now. The district manager has a market view of the entire market. The dealer represents who that market is, and then the marketer has a good idea of what the whole country is doing. Because if you're with a good marketing company, they should have some things that are working in other parts of the country that they can bring to the table. And if you're doing your own stuff, then it's even more important for you to bring your vendors in. So if you're the internal marketer and you have somebody doing your paid search, then you should demand a paid search in-person meeting, and make sure you get your district manager, make sure you get your dealer, and really examine, am I deficient in accords? Where's my opportunity in this zip code? When you get to that granular analysis, you can really put together some campaigns that work well on the digital side. So. And this is what your month should look like. And we have a little more comprehensive list I think we're going to give to you about kind of a checks and balances or a 100-point inspection. But you should be doing all this stuff, except not forgetting the R on the newsletter there. But it all should be in alignment, right? And it should be campaign driven. We often find service managers saying, oh, just renew my offers. Well, that's not what the independent repair facilities are doing. The independent repair facilities down the road, because we often get just directed at variable ops, but fixed ops is a huge opportunity, and the independent repair facilities are updating their offers every month. Okay, but if we're just going to put an offer out there and leave it up for 90 days, then we're going to be stale, right? So this needs to be parts, service, sales, the entire dealership. And then you need to be able to back into an annual plan, which again, if you give us your information, I think actually David has this spreadsheet too. If you need an Excel document for an annual plan, you can get with David or ourselves with that one. And this is a great spreadsheet to fill in. It prints on 11 by 17. You can see your entire year. You got your big ugly number in the lower right-hand corner of what your advertising spend is, but it's methodical. And it's based off of your forecast. And so, and then you can always adjust along the way, right? That's the great thing about this stuff. But it also gets you to look at, okay, what is my evergreen stuff? I have my CRM and my website and whatever other, $3.99 widgets are attached to my website, which by the way are slowing them down. And so I have all this stuff, but what is my variable expense? What can I do for incremental paid search budgets, or doing a social campaign, or doing a mailer, or something like that? So this is, again, we'll provide all this information to you if you get with us. But really you have to touch all of these pieces every single month, right? And I actually like to print this sheet out and do just the 2 highlighter method. So I start with the green highlighter when I have it working. So if I got my point of purchase inbound, I'll go ahead and highlight it green, and then I'll highlight the pink on top of that once it's done, and that's my visual control. And I'll just put whatever, October, and whoever the client is for this one. And it's a nice way for you to get ready for the next month without having to do some kind of Chinese fire drill. And I would say this too, those of you that do the planning now and have your media strategy in place, you are the ones who are going to have the competitive advantage, because when you have your media in place, and I'm not just talking about your digital, I'm talking about a radio buy or a TV buy and what have you, the creative comes out so much better when you have the time to actually work on it. And I listened to the presentations yesterday, and I look at what else is here. There's a lot of nuts and bolts stuff at this conference, but at the end of the day, I don't get a client to sign off on a $300,000 ad budget by showing him the nuts and bolts. Okay, I get a client to sign off on that ad budget when I show them some awesome creative, right? So who wants to see a little bit of awesome creative? Anybody? Yeah, let's get excited, right? Because that's what it's all about, right? We got a couple minutes for that? All right, cool. 7 minutes, let's go through some stuff. All right, I don't know what I got here. I just pulled up some stuff that we've done recently. But you know, it's always nice to start the morning.
It's Black Friday all month long, and Toyota of York is doubling your down payment on any used car in stock. 500 becomes 1,000, 1,000 becomes 2,000. We'll match you dollar for dollar. Double your down payment now through the end of the month. Click here now.
All right, let's keep going. Let's see what else we got. I got a bunch of them.
At Stevenson Toyota, we love this time of the year. A time to think about what matters most. Friends, family, and great blessings. So from our family to yours, we'd like to say, it's Toyotathon. Lease a new 2017 Toyota Camry SE for $299 a month. Plus get $500 holiday bonus cash and Stevenson's lifetime warranty. Standard on all new Toyotas. Happy holidays from Stevenson Toyota and all the pets we've helped find homes over the years.
So they're big in the pet community. Let me see what else I got here. I got some other stuff. We don't need that one anymore. This one is hot off the press.
As a pro basketball legend, Karl Malone was known to take it to the house. And now, Karl Malone Toyota will take any new car you buy online to your house, or your neighbor's house, your mother-in-law's house, that strange cat lady's house, your boss's house, even this house, wherever it is. Karl Malone Toyota will bring any car you buy or lease straight to you. Now, you don't even have to come into the dealership. You buy, we fly. Just one more way the mailman delivers. Karl Malone Toyota.
So that's only a couple months old, and it's actually got some traction. It's really cool. So something for you guys to think about. Just trying to give you some ideas outside the box here.
For some things, double is better. Which is why at Bernardi, we offer double the warranty on every new car. Introducing the double warranty from the Bernardi Auto Group. Get up to 20 years of powertrain protection on every new car. Because double is better.
So that's a cute soft sell right there. And we'll just go with a couple more here. What's this one?
All new cars come with a warranty, but after a certain number of years, that's it. Time's up. Not at Bernardi. Buy from us and you'll get double the warranty. Introducing the double warranty from the Bernardi Auto Group. Get up to 20 years of powertrain protection on every new car. So when you hit that number, your warranty starts all over again. The double warranty, only from the Bernardi Auto Group.
And I think that we'll have another spot, but I just wanted to show you some, you know, this print stuff, you know, can be rolled into digital and what have you, but again, you know, parts and service is a huge opportunity in all of your stores. So here's a pretty cool ad that was done. I think, you know, this was just for some kind of local magazine. You know, making sure that we're, you know, having fun with the creative, right? This is pretty cool. You know, parking garage gulch, student drop-off canyon, rush hour ridge. I mean, this is, you know, kind of speaking to that, you know, that soccer mom and, you know, somebody who's got that commute. So anyway, I appreciate your time and attention. I hope you guys took away some stuff. The presentation is available. You can go over there, or I'm sure David will have it for download as well. And I'll be in the back if you guys have any questions. Thanks.